What is going on? And Merry Christmas. We are live on a new platform. So we've been on Facebook, we've been on YouTube, and we started streaming on Twitter not too long ago. And then every now and then we've been working with Rumble. At first, I wasn't streaming on Rumble because I didn't really, it's not that I don't see a need, it's not that I don't want to share my channel with the audiences who will listen most. But a lot of times when I do the things that we talk about are things that we pretty much already agree on the conservative and Republican side on a lot of issues. And so at the time, I just didn't see a big pressing need to have my voice heard on a channel that already agrees for the most part with everything that we talk about. And then, of course, over time that's changed. So I am starting to stream a more on live stream more on Rumble. We will be putting up more videos over time. The only problem that I have with Rumble moving forward is that they don't really cater to vertical videos, video shorts, and things like that. And it makes it hard for me as someone who records videos or creates videos while I'm on the road trucking because I can only create those things or I only have it to in me to be able to stream from my phone or from a vertical platform while I'm out there on the road. So we'll be working with Rumble, but one of two of our newest live platforms, and I have to check to see if it's actually live. I'm hoping that it is, or I'm hoping that it will be soon. But oh yes, we're live on Instagram too. So this is my very first time ever being live on Instagram. If you guys are joining us for the first time, I want to welcome you guys for being here. Merry Christmas to everybody. And soon we're hoping, at least until they go out of business, we're hoping to be able to stream on TikTok as well. I got the invitation to be able to stream live on TikTok. We have about 6,000 followers over there, and I'm proud of that. But we all know that TikTok has kind of been up in the air on whether it's going to stay, whether it's going to go away. So as long as it's here, we're going to try our best to live stream on TikTok as well as on Instagram. So we hope you guys enjoy the videos and stuff that we have moving forward. Again, Merry Christmas. If it wouldn't have been for Christmas, I would have waited for this message to stream it on New Year's Day because I think, and maybe I can't say it as eloquently as I would like, but I do think it's a message that needs to get out there more. And that is, where have our relationships gone? But like with all of the problems and the struggles and things that we have in this world, I realize that one of the biggest weapons the government and other people have been using against us is destroying the relationships we have with one another. If you can keep us divided, then you can keep us from listening to what's real out there in the world. You can remove our support and have us to become more dependent and more reliant on the bullshit, excuse my language, that you are selling us out in the real world. And I've been guilty of it to an extent. You know, I've never believed in I have never believed in ruining a relationship for a difference of opinion. And I don't know how we got on this page where the minute we don't agree with each other. I mean, I kind of know how. The government created some very extreme circumstances that made us believe that it was a life or death situation. And if the people weren't willing to save lives, this is the facade, this oasis and stuff, that there's this vision that they sold, this image that they put in our head, that the people that did not agree with your opinion to get the jab or to believe how serious and deadly this COVID virus was, that they weren't your real friends. They weren't willing to do what it takes to save lives. And I think that was like the real beginning of how easy it's been for the government to create this division between us ever since then. And I really don't know how many of you have looked into the information since that time, but we have found out there's more than enough information out there to strongly suggest or even prove that the COVID situation, what was it called? The COVID, what does everybody call it when they were off all the time? Whatever it is that they call it, the COVID situation, that yes, it was serious. And yes, people could potentially die from it. But the jab situation, the jab scenario was a lot worse, from my understanding, than the COVID virus itself. And there's more than enough evidence, scientific evidence out there to suggest that more people had problems from the jab, from the vaccines, than they did from the virus itself. Me and my kids, we did not get vaccinated, for instance, and we had a lot of people that were giving us some backlash because of it. I've had some friends. We're still friends now. A couple of them were still friends now because they've kind of since come to an understanding that it's not worth losing a relationship just because you have that difference of opinion. But yeah, at the particular time, the government scared us into believing that the people who did not want to get the vaccine, or that they chose to believe that the virus was worth dying for. And if it was worth dying for, then those people weren't really your friends, because not only is it worth for them dying for, but because it was so contagious, they were willing to put your life at risk by not getting the vaccine for themselves. And that was the story that the government and a lot of these radical liberals sold us for a very, very long time. And it worked. It worked. We lost a lot of relationships at that time. People were so, like, I don't know how we came to this conclusion that it was worth not having friends and it was worth losing family over, simply because we did not want to get the vaccine. And I have a very close friend of mine. I don't want to go into details about this person. It's not fair to them, but they lost an extreme amount of weight. And they're not 100% sure, neither am I, that it was vaccine related, but we know who they were and how they were before they got the vaccine and how they are now, since they've gotten a couple of those jabs. And I feel bad for them. I wish things were different. I hope things are good for them moving forward. But again, I have personal experience with the fact that there's a lot of questions that we still have about what's happened with the COVID-19 and the vaccine and everything else. And that's the biggest problem right now. It isn't about any one particular issue. It's about the fact that we don't get enough information. Our governments aren't transparent enough with us. They lie to us on a daily basis, and then they want to make us believe that they're not the problems. We're the problems with each other, because I won't subscribe to the narrative that someone like Trump is racist. And I'm not, again, I never once said that I thought Trump was Jesus Christ incarnate. I never said that I was a MAGA supporter, but because I refused to subscribe to the narrative that Trump was a racist when they tried to convince us that he was, that I refused to subscribe to this narrative that you can't vote in a particular direction because you hate the leader of it that is involved, you hate the leader of that direction so much that you're willing to let this country go to shit just so you don't vote for that individual. I refuse to subscribe to that narrative. Unfortunately, we have been here in this country, in America, we've been in a situation where it isn't about choosing the best person for the job. To be perfectly honest, we're being forced to decide between the lesser of two evils. They're both bad situations. This country is in a very bad situation, and we have been forced, a lot of us, I'm not going to, I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of us who voted in the direction of Trump and even in the direction of Biden and Kamala Harris at the time, we weren't voting for who we believed was the best person for the job. We were voting for who we believed was the lesser of two evils. But again, we lost relationships because of that. I've lost some very valuable, someone I looked up to as a father figure, because we couldn't come to an agreement, or they couldn't convince me that I needed to believe Trump was a racist. All of a sudden, I lost that relationship with that person. And I wish that it wasn't the case. I'm not sitting up here saying that I'm perfect, but I am tired of apologizing for the things that I've never done. I would never let go of a relationship because we can't see eye to eye on something as trivial and complicated as politics. I love the people in my life, and I want to. I have been there for the people I love most, day in and day out, and it's just really sad to me that people will that have allowed our government and the manipulations that we see in the media every day to. I'm not saying that I haven't been duped as well, because I'm sure there's some information out there that I've chosen to believe in that turned out not to be as truthful as I wanted it to be at the time. So I'm not saying that I haven't been duped either. I'm just saying that we have allowed our government and the media and these political agendas and woke ideologies. We've allowed all of those things to cause us to become more divisive than we have ever been in our entire lives. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, whether you're on the woke left or you're on the, I'll even say the radical right, because both sides have their fair share of issues. But I'm sure that regardless of whatever side you're on, that you've got some people that have either looked at you differently or some relationships that you've lost or maybe you haven't lost those relationships, but you also haven't been you also haven't felt like you could stand up and share your opinion because you would lose those relationships. So to you, the relationship mattered more than your opinion. And because you knew that you would lose that relationship, or they would look at you differently, or you might even lose your job or something else valuable to you as a result, you chose to keep your mouth closed. And that's the problem that we have here in this country. I'm only speaking in this country. I want the best for everyone, we are on a page to where if we don't become America first, if we don't get more involved in what's best for our families and what's going on with us personally, we're going to this country is going to be a lot worse off later in the future for our kids and even for us when we get older than it is right now. And I know I'm already old. I'm 51, pushing 52. I feel good for my age, but I'm part of that older category right now. I already know. But I really want to know, for the sake of Christmas, why have Alex Smith, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining the live stream. I hope you like the new platform. Check me out over on Instagram. We're live on Instagram right now. But I really want to know, when did it become okay to lose the relationships that we have for the sake of an opinion or for a belief? The country hasn't gone to shit since Trump has gotten into office. I'm not saying that we don't still have issues, but the what the governments, the Democrats and the Republicans wanted you to believe in order to vote in that direction and to dismiss and ruin friendships and relationships as a result of how they voted or what their opinions are. None of that has come to fruition. It is not our relationships with one another. It is not who we vote for that is destroying this country. What's destroying this country and destroying what's best for our lives right now are the decisions that the government is making for us on our behalf. That's what's destroying this country right now. But they are also keeping us divided, because as long as we have hate towards each other and we're spending all of this energy on things that are just really don't matter enough, we can't focus and pay more attention to what they're doing with our taxpayer dollars or the decisions that they're making that only benefit them and the power that they hold. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and your family. Tell everyone, Scott, Jake, tell all of them I said Merry Christmas. I hope that you guys get all that you guys are looking for. And speaking of Alex and his family, man, and not to get all mushy, man. So don't start crying on me, bro, when I start saying all this. But I have. The wonderful thing about what's happened since the COVID pandemic, that's the word I was looking for earlier, is that I have made a lot of really, really good friends, some of which I still to this day have not met in person. I have, before this whole pandemic situation happened, it was harder for me to make friends because I was so hung up on trying to keep family in my life. I was so hung up on trying to figure out where I went wrong and why people were so willing to give up on the relationship I had with them when it came to my own family. And if you can't make family work, a lot of us have a tendency to believe that maybe we're just not good for relationships, period. Maybe we can't maybe we're not made to have friends and we're not made to be the family type or whatever the case may be for a lot of people. But it is the friends that I have made since the pandemic that have helped me to change my mindset on all of that. I don't believe that we are family by blood anymore. To me, it's we're family by relations. And if we don't have relationships, if we don't have those relations, then we're not family. And I think a lot of us need to get on that mindset. We need to stop allowing outside influences to make us believe that family and relationships and the love we have for one another is not strong enough, because it is. It always has been. We've just allowed people to trick us into believing that we need to let that go in order to serve a greater purpose. And that's not the case at all. There is no greater purpose than the love we have for one another and the things that we are willing to do to strengthen the bond between each other. And that's what I'm kind of hoping that we get back to in 2026. Now that I am in a much better position financially, now that I am in a much better position when it comes to my family life and everything else and work, I want to be able to spend my extra time reminding people that it isn't the government that matters most. It isn't these political agendas, these woke ideologies, these extreme right beliefs that we need to live our lives a certain way. None of those things are more important than the relationships we have with one another, the relationships we've lost because of these ideologies, the relationships we're going to form either because of or in spite of those ideologies. There's nothing more important. There's nothing that's going to motivate us to do the right thing better than the people we love, the people in our lives, and the people and that includes ourselves. Maybe you don't have the type of family or friends that you would like in your life. It doesn't mean you don't want them. It just means that you probably don't feel you have them right now. And it's in those times that you need to make you matter just as much as anyone else. You need whatever you can do to better yourself. Stop depending on on the things that the government promises you. Things like food stamps, for instance, or job placement or whatever. Nobody's going to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. That's the first thing you need to understand. You need to understand that you matter to you. No matter what else people promise you, nobody is going to do more for you. Nobody's going to make a better effort for you than what you are going to do for yourself. And that's just the honest to God truth. And man, I don't know, man. I woke up with I woke up on Christmas, and I've had lunch with my kids. We're gonna actually go and see the new Avatar movie in about half an hour. So I'm happy. I'm happy with where I'm at. But I just woke up with this thing on my heart from last night, where I was just like, I didn't want it to be as serious as it is. But now that I'm here speaking in front of you, man, it really is that deep, man. When did we just ask yourself, how many people, friends, and acquaintances have you simply lost because of a difference of opinion? And when did it become that way? Why? Pronouns, for instance. Why is my belief in a pronoun, or how I use a pronoun, or how I refuse to use a pronoun, relevant to the relationship that we share? Why is that? Why is my faith in God, or my lack of faith in God, relevant to the relationship that we share? If my faith is so detrimental or has such a negative impact on how you live your life, then in those particular cases, yeah, it doesn't mean that we can't be friendly. It doesn't mean that we can't associate with one another. It just means that when it comes to those particular issues, we don't need we either don't need to talk about them, or do we don't need to associate ourselves with that particular issue when it comes to having a relationship with each other. I said this last night, and I'm going to say it again. In the process of creating so much division between the people in this country and the people in this world in particular, or more specifically, we have, I'm trying to put this in the right way. Th- I don't want to lose my train of thought, and I kind of did because that's old age of happening right now. But my point is that we should never choose government or politics over the people in our lives. We should never. That should never take precedence. The people you love about, you should be willing to do whatever you can to keep those relationships strong. The people who need you, the people you need in your life, you should not be you know, your faith or the things that you believe in, or whether someone, because you guys don't share the same, aren't on the same page when it comes to things like racism or anti-Semitics, or just things that just like how is it affecting your relationship with that person? Not what you believe. But before all of this nonsense began to happen and the government started to tell us that, these things mattered more than anything else, and that if people weren't on the same page with you, then they weren't worth having in your life. Before you started listening to the media and the government, when did those things ever actually affect the relationship you had with the people you love and care about? And why all of a sudden does it matter so much now? Why are you choosing to allow things that just didn't matter in the past to matter so much now, that it is okay to disassociate yourself or disconnect with the people who matter most, the people you have to deal with on a daily basis? And the truth is, it never should have gotten to that point. So, in my message to say Merry Christmas and stuff to everybody else, I am making this personal commitment to myself and to the people in my life. And that is, I want to start reminding people just how much stronger we are as a community, how much stronger we are to have those relationships in our life, and to simply just come out and say, you know what? Forget all the nonsense. I want to say something else. I want to be a little bit more derogatory in my statement, but I'm trying to be PG-13 with this all. But we have to get back on a page to where we are reminding ourselves that I may not agree with you 100%. We may have our disagreements, but my relationship with you is stronger than the politics that are trying to create that division. No matter what else is going on in our lives, nothing matters more to me than my relationship with you and the people I love. Period. It really is. They want to make us believe that it's not that simple, when in truth, it really is that simple. Stop overcomplicating the simple things in our lives. Love is not an overcomplicated thing. Love is not something that is restricted to the left side or to the right side. It's not something that's limited. It's not evil, or whatever the case may be, to believe that love can overcome a lot of difficulties and struggles that we have in life. It's not a bad thing to believe in those things. I do believe, me personally, I do believe that we have to be able to see in black and white at times, but I also believe that it's okay to have those gray areas in our lives that cause us to compromise, that cause us to to sacrifice pieces of ourselves in order to better a relationship or a bond, or just maybe even better another person's life, because it isn't that important or relevant to what's going on with you. That's it. That's all I really have to say, man. I really want you guys to understand that moving forward, when you guys listen to, we're going to be talking a lot about, different people in politics, but it isn't so much about the politics. We're going to be talking about things that celebrities have said and done. We're going to be talking about a lot of the drama in the news and everything else, but none of those, all of those things together, it isn't about any one of those things. At the end of the day, what I care more about is to get people to start having conversations and to see that our relationships with one another is more important than anything else going on in the world right now. It is people over politics. It is people over drama. It is the people who matter more than anything else going on in this world right now. And I really truly believe that when we can get back to that, when we can get back to a page where we are literally looking at each other and saying, I may not agree with you, but I still got nothing but love in my heart for you. Maybe what's going on with you is so wrong that I can't associate myself with that, but it doesn't mean I can't associate myself with you. I'm not going into 2026 wondering about who I need to hate today or wondering about who hates me. If you want to be a part of my life, if you can agree that politics and outside dirt drama, whatever's going on, if you can come to the agreement that none of that will ever matter more than our relationships with each other, then we'll be good. We'll never have anything else to worry about. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend I'm something I'm not. I'm not going to try to become something I'm not anymore. I may not be the best person in front of the camera to be able to talk trash with the rest of you guys. I may not be that dude. But I want you to be comfortable in the conversations that we have. I want you to know that everything I say is coming from the heart, or that it's genuine, or that we're trying to speak from facts. We're not going to sit up here in these conversations and focus on attacking someone's character. If I believe someone's evil, I'm going to say that. If I believe someone is wrong, I'm going to say that. If I believe someone's got a really thick neck and they need to work on it, I'm going to say that. Not really, but I don't know. I might say that. That's my whole point, though, is I want to get back to being me. And I think the more genuine I can be in my conversations, whether I mess up saying something that I want to say, I don't want to be afraid that every last thing coming out of my mouth is going to be a mistake or is going to be something that somebody wants to take out of context and use against me in the future. We'll be working on those things. When people say a certain thing in public and someone takes that one little segment of an entire conversation and brings it to our attention, hey, he said he was racist, or he said that he was a Nazi. Okay, what was the entirety of that conversation? Is the man not allowed to joke anymore? Is the man not allowed to say certain things to try to prove a point? What was the entirety of that conversation? I'm not going to let you convince me that someone is racist or that someone is anti-Semitic or someone is just pure evil simply because you don't like them or what they're fighting against doesn't work with your agenda. I'm not going to allow it. I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you're on the right. I don't care if you're somewhere in the middle. It isn't the success that makes us stronger. It is the mistakes that we make, the learning process that we go through in order to correct those mistakes. That's what makes us bigger and better people. I constantly want to better myself, and the only way I can do that is to be willing to sit there and listen to conversations, debate the facts when they're on my side, but be willing to admit when I'm wrong when they're not. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes us human. We've never been perfect, but somehow we've been led to believe that everything has to be a certain way, and we can't disagree with our own side without being considered a Nazi or a traitor or just something that's just the most extreme version of bad that we can possibly look at. And that's why we have, to me, that's the reason why, more than anything, the government doesn't want to accept responsibility for all these extreme words and stuff that they've created and they've sold to us through social platforms and the media. But it is the government because they're the ones selling it the hardest. Listen to what's being said. When you call people a Nazi or a racist, where did it originate? It originated from our government and through the media. When was the last time you felt like you were ever in your life anti-Semitic? Ever. But all of a sudden, with all of the bad things going on, and the fact that we don't like the idea of all of our government of all of our taxpayer dollars going to the Israeli government, or some of us disagree with the tactics that they're using to wage war on Palestine. We When we share an opinion about those things, right or wrong, all of a sudden we're just anti-Semitic. We're just supposed to let those things happen and not not share our opinions about whether we think something is wrong or not. No, if we're wrong about something, we're taught this in school. Give us the mathematical equation on why we're wrong, and the reason you can do that is because we're wrong. If we're not wrong, don't try to suggest that we are. Don't attack a person's character and so that we fail to pay attention to the truth that they're speaking. Don't do that. And don't and I'm saying that because they're going to continue to do it as long as they can get away with it. So the people I'm really speaking to are the people listening to this channel right now, the people themselves. Stop allowing it to happen. They're going to do it. But if they don't have real evidence for why you shouldn't, being an evil person doesn't mean the things coming out of their mouth is wrong. A broken clock is right at least twice a day. No matter how evil a person is what they're saying, is the truth that they're exposing. Is it real? Is it factual? I may choose not to be that person's friend, but that doesn't mean we still don't have an issue that we need to address because of something that they exposed. It's called transparency. It's what we were promised, is what we still have not received from our own government, no matter which side decides to take office. And we'll talk a little bit about this more, but I'll be the first to admit I am 100% pissed off with what's going on with this whole Epstein list and the fact that nobody in our government wants to do something about it. The people who are in charge, the people who can actually do something about it. I am 100% pissed off with the fact that they're trying to sweep all of this under the rug. We voted for the Epstein list to get exposed. We voted to know who these sexual predators and everybody else are. We voted to know what is going on. We voted to get those people out of power, to send those people to prison. But you want to make us believe that it's no longer relevant. And I'm pissed off about that because do I believe that Trump is on that list because he did some things with underage minors? The truth is I don't know. But I do believe for whatever reason, regardless of the reason, the one thing we don't know if Trump had any kind of inappropriate relations with underage minors. We don't know that. What we do know is that for one reason or another, Trump and our government is choosing to protect the people who were on the Epstein list, who were on Epstein Island, who did have inappropriate relationships with minors. Whether that person is Trump, Clinton, Obama, that's not where the focus needs to be right now. The focus needs to be on why are they choosing to protect these people, and how can we trust a government that chooses sexual predators over the victims, over those child victims? How can we believe it? How can we support a government? One of the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene said when Trump decided to call her a racist, and make no mistake, he wasn't calling her, he didn't call her a racist, he called her a traitor. But Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the biggest supporters of Trump until she realized that they were going to continue to hide the information in the Epstein list. She spoke out against that, and because she refused to let it go, all of a sudden, everything else that she did was pure evil, and it made her to be a traitor to the cause, the traitor to MAGA, But don't get it twisted. I don't care what Trump called her. I don't care what her intentions are, her whatever her personal intentions are. Marjorie Taylor Greene has never shown me that she was against doing the right thing for the people, regardless of what the intentions are. But that's what they want you to believe. Because she's fighting to get the Epstein list out there, her and Thomas Massey. And like I said, again, just like with Trump, I don't know how good of a person they are. I don't know. What I do know is they were fighting for the things that the people wanted, and because the government didn't want to give it to us, it was easier to attack their characters than it was to explain why they changed their mind about telling us who was on the Epstein list. It said they create these illusions. They create things that aren't real in order to hide the real things that we are fighting for. And Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and she said this. She said that in a conversation with Trump, Trump himself said that releasing the names on the Epstein list was going to hurt a lot of people. And my response to that is, so the fuck what? Those people weren't thinking about who they were hurting when they were doing the things that they were doing. So why do we need to care about how much it hurts them because they were doing inappropriate things with these children? Now, the people's names that were on there, now this is where we need to get back to the return of relationships. Because of people, just because their name is on the Epstein list doesn't necessarily mean that they're guilty or not guilty of a particular thing. That's what investigations are for. Once we get those names, then we need to be able to sit back and say, okay, your name's on the list. How are you involved? And if we can show that, yes, you were at those parties. Yes, you did inappropriate things with underage minors. And how do we know that? Because the victims are still alive. Those victims they're willing to let you know who they, quote unquote, did things with and who they didn't. Let the investigation and the facts speak for themselves and stop assuming that you know better than the rest of the people. That's the problem that I have with the Trump administration and every administration before them who have had this kind of information and refused to share it. And I'm going to leave you with this one too. How do we know that this is going on? When you look at the story of Matt Gaetz, he was supposed to become the AG before he was nominated to be the AG before Pam Bondi. The reason why he took himself out of the running for that nomination, or took himself out of the running, was because somebody decided that he wasn't going to be a good AG for this country, and they started spewing these rumors about him being inappropriate underage minors. Here's my thing. I like Matt Gaetz from what I've been able to see. But with all the information that was being put out there about him, about how he was about to be investigated and all these other kind of things. Here's my thing. You stopped investigating him because he chose to stop running for that particular position in office? That's why you stopped investigating him? You didn't stop investigating him because there really was no evidence, or that he really wasn't guilty of that particular thing? You mean to tell me that you're really going to sit here and tell me that there was information out there that strongly suggests that he was involved, but because he made a deal to remove himself from office, you chose to stop the investigation? How is that right? How is that in and of itself not evil? You're saying that no matter what you've done, as long as you do things our way, we're willing to turn the other cheek. We're willing to look the other way. Because if he was really guilty like you say he was, then the investigation wouldn't stop just because he removed himself from a particular position. Things like that should show us as a people that the government will always be, until we have full transparency on what's going on, and they stop hiding all the information that we know they can give us. The government is not to be trusted. We have to start listening to our own instincts. We have to get back to a place where real journalism is the priority. We have to be willing to listen to both sides. We need to be willing to listen to a person like a Candace Owens or a Tucker Carlson or even a Nick Fuentes. If you listen to that man, they keep trying to paint this picture of him as a racist, but when you talk to him personally, he will never admit to actually being a racist. He says some really messed up things, a lot of things that I don't agree with. But he has never put himself out there to make, like, when you ask him the question, like you ask him, is he a racist? He'll say no, but he'll also say that he can't bring himself to date anyone other than someone within his own race. I may not agree with that, but it doesn't make him a racist. I would think that someone who just genuinely, if you genuinely hate a person because of their culture or their skin color or anything else, then you're going to take pride in that. You're going to come out and admit it publicly because the information is already out there. But every chance he gets, Nick Fuentes steps out and opposes the things that are being said about him. They're saying no. He's saying no. You just don't understand what I'm saying. When you hear it from the horse's mouth, I will never tell you. I will never admit to being racist or admit to being a Nazi. I just don't give a shit whether you call me those things. They don't apply to me, and I'm not going to waste my time trying to, or waste my time and energy trying to prove to you that I am not something that you claim that I am. I'm not a Nick Fuentes fan. There are a lot of things that he says that I don't agree with. But because I gave him, I can say that out loud because I gave him the opportunity to speak his piece. There's a lot of truth and there's a lot of facts to the things that he says. But there's some information about him that just makes me not really like him as a person. Period. And that's what it boils down to. Is the information real? Is the information true? You should want that information no matter what the source is. Trust yourself to be strong enough to filter out the good from the bad and stop letting the government tell you that you should refuse to listen to any of it simply because that person is evil or simply because that person is bad. Anyways, man, I'm going to get out of here, man. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas. I wanted to test these things out. Andrew, thank you for joining us as always. As you guys can see, we are live on Instagram and we're going to be live on TikTok. We got some information to get out there, and I want to leave you with this. I have been a little wishy-washy on what channels I wanted to use to get you guys to be a part of this community until now. And I created a social platform. It's called righteous.com without the O, because I believe it, not because I believe we need to be more religious or because I want you to share my faith in God. No, that's not why we called it righteous. We called it righteous because if you look at the logo, it basically says it's encouraging everyone in this country to start getting right with each other, to stop allowing politics to control the relationships that we have with each other. That's the whole point of this social platform. It isn't meant to be political. It's just meant to bring people together, for us to do some of the same things that we're doing on Facebook. But we've got some features that are built in where if you do have a church group or you do have some kind of agenda that a lot of us can agree with, we can join those groups and you can raise money and funds and things like that for whatever platform and stuff that you have. And you can do it through the Righteous platform, or you can just join, make some friends, like-minded friends, make connections, and do whatever you want to do, just like you do with Facebook. As we grow, as the community grows, and as we start bringing more and more people together, we're going to put the website on a much stronger server. You don't need to know about all that, but by putting it on a stronger server, I'm also going to be able to get the website put onto an app so that you can download the app. You can have it on your Android phone, your Apple phone. We have a lot of really cool things coming down the pipeline, including merchandise that you can buy starting today. If you go to righteous.shop, you guys can get a lot of merchandise. You guys can get some merchandise there that supports us as a community, but at the same time represents how you feel about a lot of different things. In God, right now, we just put out some shirts. In God We Trust. Guns are just backup. We've got a shirt about that defines common sense, because we need to get back to a world where common sense is relevant. Things like that, man. But anyways, I want to share. That's my piece that I want to share with you guys. We're going to be giving away prizes and stuff to our members starting in 2026. So you guys definitely want to be a part of that. We've got a page that I'm trying to build called Pay It Forward, where we're just doing kind things for people who need it. We're not expecting anything in return. We just want them to be able to pay it forward when they see the opportunity or when they're in a position to do so. Anyways, I'm Mike Rock, man. I hope you guys not only enjoy Christmas, but you guys have a happy New Year. Let me know if you haven't already what your New Year's resolutions are, what you plan to do, what you plan to accomplish in 2026. Let's make each other relevant. I got nothing but love for you guys. Take care. It's time to get my kids to the movie. Peace out.